Good morning. As usual, I come to you clueless about what it is I might have to say. So let's find out together, huh? How are you doing on fear? When you find things on the internet that are um, where people are freaking out about something or another and feeling they have to blow the whistle and tell everybody, how are you doing with that? Does it stir you? Does it bring you into fear? If it does, you're not in heart. Um, People get into that energy, and you know, I don't tend to pay too much attention when somebody is, and I don't want to use the word fear mongering because that's derisive, and there's no need for that. We don't need to speak ill of one another no matter what. But people do get into a fear vibration. And I just want to point out that that's a mental thing. That's all idea based. And it's not necessary. You don't have to be trapped in that unless you choose to. Going into heart is a really, really good space. And then you can just look at that. I tend not to watch such things or to, mark them as favorites. But yesterday I did find something where the information the person has is very, very good, even though the title that was selected is a freaking out kind of a title. Proof that the government is using HAARP and there's going to be an earthquake and all that kind of thing. Um, Aside from the title, the video is good, and it's talking about how there's a perfect triangulation in the animal deaths, the bird deaths in the South or the Mid-South, and that's not natural. And it's kind of funny in a way because we had the big fish die off also here in Arkansas. Um, Same day, same general time period. Maybe only hours apart. I don't remember exactly. But therefore, when they try to come along and say it was anything air related or storm related or something, that didn't kill the fish, my friends. And so they're kind of busted in a way. It's at least obvious that something not natural, something not a part of Mother Nature, but of man's interaction with Mother Nature is going on. I think it's safe to say that. Now, had he put such a title on his video, it probably wouldn't have gotten the attention that he wanted for it. So I'm just hoping that people can look past the fear and the screaming and just pick up the good information that's there. Um, Another aspect of fear is not just that we're in the mind, but we're identified with the body. I live in Arkansas, which is, the Madrid fault line goes into northeast Arkansas. I live in northwest Arkansas. And so there could be harm to property here, harm to the body, but that's not me. And as long as I know that, and as long as I live in that, it's not that you live in the knowing, it's just that the knowing live. I don't know. I don't know how to put words to this. But I think it's a good idea for us to take a look at fear and see where it is, because even I have found in my life anyway, even when we get ourselves into a space where we think we're quite fearless and calm, there's still subterranean stuff going on underneath that we're not yet aware of, and that it takes certain situations in order to bring it to the surface so we can see it. And so I think it's a really good idea to take a look at the fear that we can see and to work with it. Look what's underneath it, what underpins it, because it's just not necessary to live in fear. And as we get deeper and deeper into heart living, and by deeper, maybe it's just a time factor, the more time we spend there or something. I don't have good words for this because you can be that deep in an instant. This isn't anything that takes long journeying and adventuring and practicing and efforting and all of that. When we're um, seeking to set up the habit of centering the attention in the chest, I would call that cooperating with this flow. There's a flow that we can cooperate with, and when we do, life is so much better, and we can ride the wave into higher frequencies and higher consciousness. So there is, you could say that there was a certain amount of efforting around setting up the habit. But in a way, you can look at your soul as something, or your essence, your being, as something distinct from the body. Now, take yourself momentarily outside of the body and just stand over there and look at your body. And realize that your body itself will have certain tendencies that have nothing to do with your soul. Your body itself will have the DNA structure. These are properties of the body. These are not properties of the soul. And so you're really kind of a community living in the body there. You are the God for the 50 trillion or so cells, sentient beings that have linked up together to form this structure that you can use for your experience here. And so there are many and multiple perspectives we can use to help grow and increase our understanding. And it's funny ground I'm walking on, because in a way this is to help the mind come to terms with some of this. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we don't want to get to believing in the mind too much, in the structures it creates, in the ideas, in the belief systems. These are that which we hold lightly. And so we're not unwilling to listen to different perspectives. I can measure my unwillingness to listen to a certain thing. I really do like to look at that, because earlier on, what I was seeing is, well, this is where I'm polarized. And maybe I need to have a look at that, because I knew somehow that polarity was not, it's not wrong. It's just not the whole story. It's only a partial story. And it was vesting belief in it that was the issue. And as frequencies are rising all around us, they're pulling us up along with them. And so that helps us come to a higher perspective to look at things. Now I'm using higher, that's a linear word, but all we have is words right here and right now. It won't be too long and we won't have to be using words this way. And with telepathy, when you transfer an understanding, it's the understanding that transfers. And there's much less of the slip betwixt the cup and the lip, the misunderstanding. It's always a case, by the way, if you have any misunderstandings that you want to look at in your life or that are bothering you right now, it may come as a shock, but a misunderstanding is never one person's fault. A miscommunication is always a result of the dance between the two, or however many are involved. And I studied communication in school, and it answered something really deeply within me, because somehow I knew these things, but it was an elemental knowing that I couldn't access very well. I couldn't get it into words, and so the study in university was helpful. And I realized that communication is a tricky thing. And we think because we've said something, and we think we've said it clearly, therefore our job is done. And it's the other person's job to understand. And if they don't, well, that's on them. Not necessarily so. Not so at all. That's not what communication is. Communication isn't vested in the words. What you're communicating is wordless, and you're just using the words as a tool to help transfer it to someone. Anyway, not to get off into that. You don't need a lecture, I'm sorry. Um, but I love the whole um, nature of communication because it's the nature of oneness. It's the nature of sharing. And each one of us is precious beyond precious. The walk that you have taken, nobody in cosmos that ever was or that ever will be has taken that same exact walk through those incarnations, those relationships, those studies, those understandings, those trials, travails, those joys, fears, all of it all together makes up you. You're irreplaceable. And you have locked within you such treasures that are amazing. And it's a time of joining up and of sharing our treasures. And we find them in our perspectives. And to the extent that we can get flexible with perspective and float in amongst them, we can even open the door, shall we say, to memories and experiences from other lifetimes that we've lived. Because if we're all locked down and sealed up tight in a certain belief system, then we've shut the door on that. We've got a certain set of perspectives, and they run our life. Our beliefs are in control of a lot. And so as we excavate and get rid of a lot of the beliefs, and the ones that we like, we hold them lightly. Other things are given permission to enter. Things that maybe we really want with the right hand, but with the left hand we've been pushing away, unbeknownst to us, because we took this limited, narrow perspective of the body-mind. Now, some people are still very much locked in the body and don't even believe that there's a soul or an essence that occupies it. And in that kind of a belief system, you'll see something very rigid and limited and subject to fear. Someone that knows they're not their body, maybe they've either had an out-of-body experience, an OBE, or heard of them, or NDEs or something, that person is going to be less fearful. They know that the body can get completely destroyed and consumed, and that doesn't affect them. That affects their experience on the earth, and of course we don't want that to end prematurely, but it doesn't hurt them, not in the least, not in any way. There's no harm that can be done, and so that person is obviously less fearful. But still, the mind itself is such a circus of nonsensical ideas and beliefs and programming and all the rest of it. And so there's a lot of things that are fear-based that are aimed strictly at mind. And so the person who's locked within mind, that's the one who believes their beliefs. In other words, they think they're right about things. They think that they know things. You'll hear me say so often, I don't know, and I'm content not to know. Understanding will come when it does. That's not necessary to having the experience of the union, of the oneness, of the awakening. Awakening doesn't mean all of a sudden you know every fact in the universe. I mean, that's mind's way of trying to figure out and dissect what would this awakening be like. And I think most of the ones that are a little bit ahead of us on the path report back, it's not what we think. It's just not at all what we think it's going to be like. From my own personal experience thus far in life, I can report that. It's hilarious. It is, and the hilarity is how the contrast between what we thought it was and what it is. It's quite funny. And we find that we took ourselves so seriously, and and all of that, and how we would get upset over things, and we would take a position and defend it and just know that we were right. And we look at that and we just guffaw. I mean, it's a hoot. It's funny. It really, really is. Well, I think that's symptomatic of having stepped back some more. And you can do this through self-observation. You know, my two main things is enter heart, place your focus of attention in the center of your chest. It's that simple. It's not mystical. And the other one is self-observe, without trying to change things, you know, without trying to be in control. Just sit back and self-observe and take that perspective for a while. And oh my gosh, you'll get to know yourself in ways that you never would have. We've got to turn our focus within. We've been focused on the outside of life, and now we're hearing people tell us, gee, there isn't really even anything out there. You know, that's just an image, that's just an appearing. And I say it myself often, what that is a reflection of what's within us. And so we're medicating the pimple by putting the acne cream on the mirror as we're trying to influence things by working externally. And that's just as simple as I can say it, and I have truly found it to be the way that we must go within. And we can look to all of the ancient teachings, and they're telling us this. Go within, go within. The kingdom is within, you know. So I guess I've spun my little tale out this morning. I'll close it down now and hope you have a very blessed day.